On this Monday night, raging wildfires near Summerland, BC. An elderly woman dies as thousands are forced from their homes. The agonizing choice over what to leave behind.
And that was probably the hardest thing I ever did in my whole life.
Devastation in Colombia after a major earthquake. The search for survivors buried in the rubble. Downtown Halifax shut down over a bomb threat to the U.S. consulate. What police found in a suspect's vehicle. And sunken history.
This is the real age of conquest.
The clues from a 2,000-year-old Roman shipwreck found off the coast of Italy.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. An active police investigation is underway into the cause of the wildfire that exploded in a matter of hours over the weekend near Summerland, British Columbia. The impact has been devastating. Nearly 22,000 people in the path of the flames have been ordered out of their homes. Thousands more have been told to be ready to leave at a moment's notice. They are waiting, watching the weather, and hoping the hundreds of firefighters, along with water bombers, will be able to bring that fire under control and save their homes. Sarah MacDonald is in Penticton for us tonight. Sarah.
Donna, as the Bald Range wildfire burning north of us here in Penticton continues to grow, BCRC&P are taking a look at how it started. This is what countless British Columbians came up against while fleeing a still expanding wildfire in the Okanagan. Flames jumping the highway, raining down ash on drivers, just trying to escape.
Just a ball of fire. That was frightening. Never seen anything like it.
Cousins John and Henry among the more than 20,000 evacuees, making an overnight exodus to safety.
Woke up and looked out the window and it was just coming right down the hill towards the end of town.
And all of a sudden they'd knock on the door and they said, "You have minutes to get out." They were in a panic, and so we knew it was time to go right now.
Some watching in real time through home security cameras as crews work to save their homes.
This is just coming up to the first cattle guard.
As the devastation leveled by the Bald Range wildfire comes into focus, so too does the human toll. An 80-year-old woman died while evacuating the flames. RCMP now say the fire is considered suspicious and under investigation. Criminality not yet ruled out.
A lot of wildfires are human-caused, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's arson.
Outside Summerland in Falder, homes and livelihoods are all gone.
There's only one access road in and out. We, grabbed some diapers, threw the baby in the car seat.
Claire Tamung hitting the gas with her 10-day-old baby in the back to escape as her husband was flown out by helicopter.
And it was pitch black, smoke, fire on both sides.
We've moved 3 times in 24 hours.
Across the region Monday, farmers and ranchers allowed to return to the animals they were forced to leave behind.
And that was probably the hardest thing I ever did in my whole life.
After 3 anxious days apart. There is some cause for optimism, Donna, with some federal funding coming to help house evacuees in BC, along with an update from the city of Summerland this evening that its entire downtown core remains intact.
Bit of good news. Sarah MacDonald in Penticton. Thank you. The fire danger rating for much of BC's interior is extreme. Global meteorologist Yvonne Schell looks at whether conditions are likely to change in the days ahead. Yvonne.
Donna, we're seeing a small change in the forecast with a slight chance for some showers, and temperatures will be a few degrees cooler for the next 2 days. Here's a few shots that were captured from Peachland showing us the explosive fires in Summerland. This one taken from across the water, and another shot as well. Now, here's what we're anticipating through the afternoon and early evening. The big concerns will be the winds. A few spots may see the potential winds between 30 and gusts of up to 40 kilometers per hour, and it sets up once again through the afternoon and early evening hours. We'll be watching that closely as we get in towards our Tuesday. Now, in terms of the precipitation, there is that chance for a few spotty showers. It'll be light in some of the heavier precipitation, and even the risk of thunderstorms, however, will be staying towards the northern regions of the Okanagan, and we could see a slight chance for some showers and a bit more cloud cover as we get in towards our Wednesday, Thursday. So temperature-wise for tomorrow, still in the upper 20s, closer to 30 degrees. A few degrees cooler will be for our Wednesday, Thursday, and then those temperatures will be soaring once again. The latest on the fire danger rating, much of the southern interior, we're sitting at high, and the areas in red, Okanagan included within that, sitting at extreme. Donna?
Okay, meteorologist Yvonne Schell, thank you. In Halifax, police have arrested a man they say is linked to a bomb threat at the U.S. consulate on Sunday night. As police searched for the man, they say they found his vehicle in a parkade near the consulate, and what they found in it led them to evacuate nearby buildings. Heidi Petracek is in Halifax. Heidi, how did all of this unfold?
Donna, Halifax police say they were made aware of a bomb threat against the U.S. consulate, which is in an office tower in this downtown area of Halifax, just after 6 p.m. Sunday night. They say they then identified the man allegedly behind that threat and started searching for him. That led to this parkade connected to the building this morning, and police evacuated several blocks in the downtown core, which includes office buildings, a hotel, businesses, while the explosives unit searched a vehicle. Inside, they say they found a propane tank and several containers believed to contain flammable liquid, along with a suspicious bag. By mid-afternoon, police arrested a 54-year-old man in another part of the city, and he's in custody. The evacuation order was lifted as they say there's no longer a threat to the public, and the investigation continues.
That male was arrested shortly after 8 this morning in the area of Thomas Riddell Drive. That male was arrested and brought here to headquarters, where he's currently being investigated.
This marks another threat against a U.S. consulate in Canada. The one in Toronto was targeted by violence twice this year. 2 people face a host of charges after a gunshot hit the U.S. consulate in downtown Toronto last month, and investigators believe the 2 people were paid to carry out the alleged shooting. That consulate was also targeted in March. Police say they do not consider this a national security incident and that they are only interviewing this one suspect, but they wouldn't say if this could be connected to the incidents in Toronto or if the person was working with any kind of organized group or if the individual was even known to police. Donna.
Okay, Heidi Petracek in Halifax, thanks. A Montreal man is accused of making death threats against Prime Minister Mark Carney. Police have charged 51-year-old Marc Pourlier with uttering threats to cause death or bodily harm. It's alleged he made the threats to the Prime Minister in an email sent to a senator and other unnamed individuals. Canadian negotiators are still working to reach some kind of resolution after the latest threat from the U.S. president. Donald Trump claims on August 19th he was going to impose 50% tariffs on a range of Canadian goods imported by the United States. Mackenzie Gray is watching this. Mackenzie, any sense of what is happening with those negotiations?
It doesn't seem like too much has happened, Donna. Bad weather forced Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc's flight from D.C. back to Montreal, and the Canadian side is providing no substantive details on any meetings they've had. The deadline for the new 50% tariff is 9 days away, leading the Conservatives to try and put pressure on the Prime Minister to get a tariff-free deal.
No more caving, no more unilateral concessions without any gains in return.
But that won't happen, according to a source familiar with trade negotiations who tells Global News the Americans won't cut a deal unless there is some level of tariffs on steel, aluminum, autos, and softwood lumber. The same source saying Canada is only expected to accept a deal if the Americans substantially cut the current 50% tariffs on those same sectors, with Canada willing to walk away from the table and let the new tariffs come into place if that doesn't happen. To get any deal, Canada is open to concessions. Details are fluid. But one thing not on the table right now, quotas on the amount of Canadian steel and aluminum that would be allowed into the U.S., an idea discussed in trade talks last fall. Provincial alcohol bans another major American complaint, something Quebec's premier signaled this afternoon she'd be willing to reverse, only if there was help for Quebec's forestry and manufacturing sector, as well as no changes to supply management. A part of complicated negotiations, Donna, as we hurtle towards yet another Trump tariff deadline.
Okay, Mackenzie Gray, thank you. The federal government is providing $100 million in rebates to Canada's steel industry to help cut the costs of shipping steel products across the country. Under the plan, manufacturers will have half of the freight costs covered on eligible steel sent within Canada. It is a direct response to U.S. tariffs imposed on Canadian goods. The rebate is aimed at encouraging Canadian companies to buy steel produced domestically rather than rely on international suppliers, including the United States. Another Liberal MP has announced he will resign, which will trigger another federal by-election soon. In a social media post, Scarborough North MP Sean Chen says the lingering impact of injuries he suffered in a car crash last year have prevented him from traveling to Ottawa as often as the job requires. Chen was first elected to the riding in 2015. He intends to resign on Saturday. A Montreal man has been found guilty by a jury in New York of second-degree murder in the death of his 9-year-old daughter. 46-year-old Luciano Fratolin was also convicted of concealing his daughter's body. Her body was found last year in a marsh in a rural area of New York State. She was nearing the end of a week-long trip in the U.S. with her father when he reported she'd been kidnapped by 2 men in a white van. Investigators later arrested Fratolin for the murder. This is the moment a terrifying earthquake hit Colombia. It was a 7.4 magnitude quake, powerful enough to collapse multiple buildings. At least 110 people are known to have died. It's feared many more are trapped. This is the strongest quake to hit Colombia in the last decade. Jackson Proskow reports on the rescue missions underway.
The violent shaking started just after 7:30 a.m. In airports, travelers scrambled for cover. Outside, people ran for their lives as buildings swayed and then collapsed. We were able to get out, but many people didn't manage to do so, says this woman. The earthquake struck about 250 kilometers east of the capital, Bogota. In many areas, the damage is catastrophic. Rescuers and volunteers immediately started digging through the rubble by hand, looking for survivors. We have at least 20 collapsed structures with people trapped, said the mayor of the city of Cali as he issued a plea for help. This is the strongest earthquake to strike the area in more than a decade, according to Colombia's geological survey, and it hit one of the poorest regions of the country. In a message to his people, Colombia's president said, "You are not alone." The disaster happened just weeks after twin earthquakes struck neighboring Venezuela, killing an estimated 6,100 people. Now in Colombia, another large-scale disaster is pushing rescue workers to their limit as they rush to find survivors and wait on an international response. Jackson Proskow, Global News, Washington.
More than 1 million people have been moved out of the path of a powerful typhoon that made landfall in China. Shanghai Airport also canceled hundreds of flights. The storm brought heavy rain and flooding to eastern China. It made landfall with winds reaching over 150 kilometers an hour. This is the strongest typhoon to hit China this year. It has since weakened to a tropical storm. Ukraine strikes deep into Russian territory. Coming up, the damage from Kyiv's latest offensive as its own defense falters. The roller coaster of oil prices is on the way up again because of another round of uncertainty about the Strait of Hormuz. Iran says talks with Oman to reopen that critical waterway are progressing, but warned resuming oil tanker traffic is tied to U.S. concessions, including compensation for months of damage due to the war the U.S. and Israel started with Iran. The U.S. president responded today, Donald Trump posting he is demanding compensation from Iran from all the people that they have killed. Russia's Supreme Court has barred an anti-war party from running in next month's parliamentary elections. The war Russia launched on Ukraine is taking a toll on Russian civilians. A long-range Ukrainian drone attack killed 13 people, including a child, and injured dozens more. It's one of the deadliest attacks on Russian soil since Moscow launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Redmond Shannon reports.
Kyiv says it targeted 2 oil refineries Monday, as far as 2,000 kilometers inside Russia. One of the attacks among the deadliest of the war on Russian soil, where just like in this weekend's drone strike, Russia claims civilians were killed. Russian investigators called Monday's attack an act of terrorism. The strikes are part of weeks of long-range Ukrainian drone bombings in Russia, including hitting distribution centers of Wildberries, Russia's equivalent to Amazon.
Is it worth it? I think so. But more broadly, Ukraine has to find a way to get Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table, and it has to increase the pressure on Russia.
Russian President Vladimir Putin was in the country countries east Monday as Russia's Supreme Court ruled that an anti-war party cannot run in September's parliamentary election. Putin has shown no sign of compromise on his war goals, especially knowing Ukraine is struggling to intercept his ballistic missile attacks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says monthly supplies of US-made Patriot defense missiles are not enough, as even non-ballistic air attacks still make their way through Ukrainian defenses, killing more people Monday. How much longer can Russia bomb and torture us? Asks this man. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
The Canadian government is imposing sanctions on a defense manufacturer that got its start in Canada. Strike Group, once headquartered in Ontario, is headed by Gurman Gutarov, a Russian-born Canadian citizen who is now based in the United Arab Emirates. The federal government says multiple credible reports confirmed armored vehicles the company makes have been used by Russia in its war against Ukraine. Strike Group is one of the world's largest manufacturers of armored vehicles. Infantino under pressure ahead, the open letter accusing the FIFA president of deception. FIFA's president Gianni Infantino is under even more pressure tonight. 3 soccer federations have again questioned his role in a now abandoned proposal to sell stakes in FIFA events such as the World Cup to private investors, accusing him of breaking trust through deception. Eric Sorensen reports on the open letter signed by the federations, including the Canadian being touted as the potential successor to Infantino.
As recently as Friday, Gianni Infantino was hobnobbing at the inauguration of Colombia's president, as if nothing was amiss. But federations from Europe, Asia, and CONCACAF, which includes Canada, are demanding change. In a letter, the 3 football federations said FIFA's leadership has a duty to the football family. When trust is broken through deception, when an individual places himself above the collective that entrusted him with authority, that duty has been abandoned. Among those who signed, Canadian Victor Montagliani, the president of CONCACAF. The head of Norway's football federation is among Infantino's most vocal critics.
He's not in a position to gather it now. So for the sake of football, we ask him to resign.
And here it is in the Oval Office.
After a successful World Cup, Infantino has seen support unravel. It began with his association with U.S. President Trump, but his recent attempt to open the World Cup to private investors, led by Joshua Kushner, the brother of Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, has created a firestorm around Infantino. If he goes, who would replace him? Some have suggested the Canadian, Montagliani.
Victor has always done what's best for football.
Tony Marinaro says Montagliani is well respected in the world of football if the top job opens up.
He's really bright. He's a fantastic businessman. And once again, amidst all this controversy, he's been able to stay clear from it.
If Infantino does not resign, UEFA and others could boycott September's Women's Under-20 World Cup in Poland.
Actually implementing a boycott would be a major escalation. It would damage FIFA competitions.
For 10 years, Infantino has been the center of attention atop FIFA, including this pickup match in Vancouver before the World Cup. But less visible figures, like Victor Montagliani, may soon have something more to run for. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
There's more evidence the rise in weather-related disasters is being fueled by climate change. Ocean temperatures last month were hotter than any other July on record. That's according to the European Union's Climate Monitoring Service. Average sea surface temperature outside the world's polar regions reached 20.96 degrees Celsius, beating the previous July record set in 2023. Last month was also the second warmest July on record globally, with surface air temperatures nearly 1.5 degrees above the estimated pre-industrial average. Deep sea discovery next. The ancient Roman shipwreck found off Sicily's coast. There's been an extraordinary discovery off the coast of Sicily. Italian divers have found a Roman shipwreck along with hundreds of artifacts. The ship is believed to have set sail some 2,000 years ago. As Turia Isria explains, finding it is opening a new window into life and trade during the Roman Empire.
Off the picturesque coast of Sicily, Italian divers set out on a mission.
Guided by a tip from local fishermen, they went searching the sea floor and found an ancient time capsule beneath the Mediterranean.
Incredibile.
This is without a doubt the most incredible discovery of my life, says one of the divers. A 2,000-year-old Roman shipwreck and what appears to be hundreds of amphorae.
They were the primary way that a lot of liquid goods like wine or olive oil would be moved from location to location.
The ancient relics encrusted in marine life and preserved by the sea, while most of the ship itself has long disappeared.
It's not like the Titanic. Anytime an archaeologist or historian mentions a Roman shipwreck, really what they're talking about is vases on the seafloor that have been found.
Archaeologists say more excavation is needed, but believe it helps paint a picture of Rome's vast trade networks.
This is when Rome is, for the first time, bringing under its imperial control Greece, and this is right before Caesar goes into Gaul.
The wreck also highlights the perils facing those who set sail.
Anyone who's seen the Odyssey knows that open vessel, kind of open ocean sailing in the Mediterranean is incredibly risky.
Italian authorities will now try to uncover the vessel's age, origin, and cargo.
The ancients weren't exactly like us, but that we can understand. We have the potential to understand their economy with a fairly high level of detail now because of the quality of archaeological research.
Research offering a new glimpse into ancient Rome. Taria Isri, Global News, Montreal.
And that is Global National for this Monday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is the Yukon River passing through Dawson City, Yukon. We'd love to see your Canada. Please email it to us. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.